Emily and Jack seemed to live a life that many could only dream of. Jack was the kind of husband everyone admired. Hardworking, caring, and deeply committed to his wife. Together, they appeared to be the perfect match. From leisurely weekend breakfasts to cozy nights watching movies, their connection was evident to all who observed them. Even after 5 years of marriage, Jack's gaze still lingered on Emily with the same tenderness and admiration he had shown her on their wedding day. He truly believed he knew everything about her, certain that they were soulmates. However, over time, subtle shifts began to seep into their relationship. Emily, once so open about every aspect of her day, began to keep parts of herself hidden. Her laughter grew less frequent. And even when she was physically present, her attention seemed to drift, creating a sense of distance. Jack told himself it was simply the stress of her demanding new marketing job, with its long hours and constant travel. Yet, a feeling of unease lingered in the back of his mind, an undercurrent he couldn't ignore. The first undeniable sign came one Friday evening. Emily was going out for a girls' night, and Jack encouraged her to have a good time. But as the night wore on and her messages became fewer and farther between, a knot of anxiety tightened in his stomach. When she finally returned late, her clothes faintly carrying the scent of men's cologne and her appearance more disheveled than he'd expected, suspicion started to rise within him. Still, he tried to suppress it, unwilling to become a husband who doubted his wife without clear evidence. Up until then, Emily had never given him a reason to question her. 2 weeks later, the second sign appeared. Jack was folding laundry when Emily's phone buzzed. An unknown number flashed a message. "Last night was unforgettable. When can we do it again?" Jack froze, his heart racing as if he had been struck. He struggled to keep his composure, setting the clothes down carefully. Emily, noticing his expression, quickly grabbed her phone and dismissed the message with a forced smile, claiming it was just a silly joke from a client. Jack managed a smile in return, but inside doubt took root. It was now impossible to ignore. From that moment on, every little detail about Emily, every quirk, every habit, felt like a clue to something hidden. Jack became quieter, more reserved, watching her closely. The truth came to light on a stormy Saturday night. Emily told him she had to stay late at work again. Jack kissed her goodbye, but the weight of suspicion was too heavy to dismiss. On impulse, he grabbed his keys and followed her at a distance. Her car led him across town to a small, dimly lit bar. Jack parked out of sight and watched as a tall man with dark hair greeted Emily at the door. He smiled and embraced her as she stepped out of her car. In that instant, Jack's world shattered. He sat frozen, watching the woman he loved laugh and disappear inside with another man. That image burned into his mind, a nightmare made real. He stayed in his car for a long time, numb, before finally driving home to an empty house. Rage, heartbreak, and disbelief collided, muted only by the numbness settling in. He drank heavily, each sip dulling the pain just enough to think clearly. Jack knew that what had been broken could not be fixed. The woman he had cherished was gone, replaced by someone unrecognizable. Instead of confronting her in anger, Jack decided on another course of action. He would let Emily face the consequences of her betrayal. Over the next week, Jack carried out his plan meticulously. He quietly moved every penny from their joint accounts to an account that only he could access. Little by little, he packed his things, careful not to leave any indication of his intentions. He arranged to work remotely, coordinating discreetly with his boss, preparing to vanish without a trace. Emily would come home one day to find nothing but emptiness. The night before his departure, Jack booked a hotel suite nearby. He knew she would likely be with her lover, which only strengthened his resolve. While Emily was gone, Jack executed his plan without a hitch. On the kitchen counter, he left a single note with 3 words. "I know everything." After a final sweep of the house, now devoid of his presence, he closed the door behind him and walked away, leaving only silence. At the hotel, whiskey in hand, Jack stared at the clock, imagining the moment Emily would return. The shock, the panic, the realization of what she had lost. He hoped she would feel just a fraction of the pain she had caused him. At dawn, Emily stumbled home, still smelling of another man. She called for Jack, expecting him to be upstairs, but silence answered her. Her eyes fell on the note. Panic surged as she searched the house, only to find half-empty drawers, bare closets, and their wedding photos gone. She called him again and again, but each call went straight to voicemail. Her frantic, tearful messages went unanswered. Jack was gone. In the days that followed, Emily's desperation grew. She reached out to his friends, contacted his family, even went to his workplace, only to find that he had moved to a remote position and disappeared from the area. Each unanswered attempt tore at her, leaving her overwhelmed with regret. The man she had betrayed Jack for quickly lost his appeal. The fantasy faded into disappointment. Alone, Emily was left with nothing but the wreckage of the life she had destroyed. Meanwhile, Jack began anew in a different city, surrounded by strangers. Step by step, he rebuilt his life, finding peace and a sense of direction again. He looked back without bitterness, only quiet satisfaction. He had given Emily the freedom she thought she wanted. But in doing so, she had trapped herself in loneliness and remorse. Jack realized that sometimes, the most powerful form of revenge isn't confrontation, it's moving on.